There's a lot of paintball gear. Most of it you don't need, but this stuff you do. When I started playing paintball, such a perfect device did not exist. The ball hauler's fantastic. Before I'd rip open holes in bags with my teeth, I actually still do that. But then I'd shove the pod inside the bag and just kind of pour paint around inside there. It works okay. But the ball hauler or this paintball caddy works considerably better. You won't lose nearly as much paint. It takes less time to load. It holds 2 bags. And the part that I like the most is you can close these lids and you can close and seal the whole thing up at the end of the day. So I can just put my extra paintballs in there, close both of those lids, and then it's going to stay fresh enough where I can use it in the following weeks. It's much better than how I used to do it and just tape up bags. Get yourself a ball hauler. The Pod Swab. A big old swab for your pods. It's microfiber and has this handy carabiner. If you've ever tried to clean pods without one of these pod swabs, it is kind of difficult. A lot of the times people will shove their barrel swab in there and kind of just fish around and hopefully clean it out. You could also shove a microfiber in there and move it around, but that's kind of difficult and takes a while. These pod swabs, you just shove it in your pod and move it around, pull it out, and your pod is clean. It's also really easy to clean the pod swab. You can just pull off this microfiber. It makes it really easy to just wash in the sink, or you could throw it in the washing machine. Pod swabs have been out for about 8 years now, and it's really kind of difficult to understand why we didn't make it decades ago. It's extremely handy, the pod swab. And make yourself a toolkit. You really don't need a lot of stuff, but having a few essentials and spare parts really can save your life at the paintball field. I use this little kit. It's really simple. I just have some Allen wrenches, some grease, and some spare parts. And no matter the paintball gun you have, you're going to need Allen wrenches. And I would spend the extra money on a good set of tools as well. High quality tools are just more precise and they're going to last much longer. They're not going to round out like a lot of the cheaper stuff. And for only $30, you can get yourself a very good set of these Bondis Allen wrenches. I've been using this brand for decades, and as long as you don't lose anything, they're going to last just as long. I much prefer this L style over the T, and I would get the ball end ones. They're much easier to just insert into stuff. Nowadays, though, a lot of the paintball guns are extremely reliable, and it is kind of rare to have problems at the field, but I still take O-rings just in case, and for the most part, am using Planet Eclipse guns, and those come with a very good parts kit, so I'm kind of just stealing a few O-rings out of there, the critical O-rings, and then adding them into my kit. Just buy an O-ring kit. They're pretty cheap, they're going to last a long time, and you're going to need to change the O-rings eventually, so why not be prepared? You're definitely going to need oil or grease though, but depending on what kind of gun is going to dictate what you need. If you have something inexpensive, say like the Tippmann or a Zodin, those are going to use oil. Maybe you have like a 180R or a CS3, maybe the TM40. You're definitely going to need grease for those. So just pack grease and oil. It's a really easy thing to take to the field, and you might end up needing it. If you guys are interested in buying any of this stuff, I'm going to put links into the description to everything in this list, and then also a few other things I like. A barrel swab is a must. As we go on, paintballs and paintball guns keep getting better, so breaking paint becomes a little bit more rare, but it's still gonna happen at some point, and there is no better way to clean your barrel than a barrel swab. It's a little version of the pod swab, except this one bends in the center to make it easy to put in your pocket, and it essentially works the same way as well. You just push it down your barrel, and then all that fluffiness kind of soaks up the extra paint, and your barrel's clean. The best swab though is probably going to be the Exalt Barrel Made. It has 2 barrel cleaners in one. It has a disc on one side and that swab style on the other. Most players are going to push that disc side down first and then kind of buff it clean with that swab side. So when you push this thing down your barrel, it elongates, and then it pushes past all that broken paint. You pull it the other direction, and that disc will flatten out and actually squeegee the barrel. It really does work well, and no other swab is going to clean as well as the Exalt Barrel Made. There are also some simpler styles too. They're just swabs like we just showed, like the HK ones that do work well, but the Barrel Made's still probably the best. Having a gun case has made it so much easier for me to keep my gear organized. It's much better than having my gun kind of work its way to the bottom of my gear bag, and it's definitely better than just wrapping it up in pants. The best two cases are going to be the Exalt and HK Army cases. They're both very similar to each other. They both have spots for barrels. They have zipper pockets on the inside. The Exalt case, though, is designed to hold one paintball gun and barrels, whereas the HK Army case is quite a bit thicker, so you could put two paintball guns and barrels in there, or really maybe like get rid of the barrels and you could shove 3 in there. They're really simple. They're just cases. They got some zippers, spots for barrels. They're going to keep your high-end paintball gun much nicer, and I like them because I can just stay more organized. And if you're going to buy anything on this list, other maybe than the toolkit and barrel swab, I'd buy a goggle case. And I've been using these Exalt goggle cases since they came out, and it's definitely my most used piece of gear. Do we call cases gear though? A lot of the new higher end masks though are really nice. They come with these little soft rubber bottoms. It makes them a little bit more comfortable, but being that rubber, they can get a little bent out of shape if you don't take care of it very well. That's why these cases are nice. If you have a Carbon Zero, maybe you have a JT ProFlex, putting it in this case is just going to keep it in shape. And it's also going to protect those expensive lenses. I mean, paintball lenses have doubled in price in the last few years. So if you have a $60 lens, you might as well put it in one of these $40 cases. I mean, it's going to make that lens last considerably longer. The Exalt case actually has a steel band around the side, so it makes it a little bit harder to crush. It's not totally crush proof, but it's going to be able to take a little bit more weight than the other cases too. There's a center pocket, which is a great place to store a microfiber, or maybe you have a headband from the Paintball Ruin My Life store, which you can find at pbrml.shop. You can find all kinds of different styles there. Headbands are only $30. And in the United States, $30 orders ship for free. And both the HK and Exalt cases will fit all of the paintball masks. Well, maybe not like a full head version, but if you have just a normal paintball mask, it's going to fit in either of these cases. You have, say, an i4 from Dye, it's really small, it's going to fit fine. Maybe you have an EVS from Empire, one of the larger masks, it's also going to fit fine in either the Exalt or the HK case. Another critical piece to your paintball adventure is going to be your tank, and getting just these couple things can help the thing last longer. The thread protector is a threaded aluminum cap that screws on the top of your tank regulator and just keeps those threads staying a little bit nicer. And those threads obviously need to be in good condition to work correctly. If the threads are damaged, you can end up cross-threading your regulator onto the ASA of your gun, and that's definitely not good. So just putting a thread protector on there can eliminate a lot of those issues. And this top lip flange area is also really important. It helps keep that tank O-ring in place. Without that tank O-ring, this regulator just wouldn't seal onto the gun. And even though, tank regulators are made out of metal, they still can bend. If you drop your tank perfectly on this spot, it will break off, and if that tank O-ring does not sit correctly, that regulator might not seal correctly. Also for your tank is a fill nipple cover, and it's another thing that does what it sounds like. It covers your fill nipple. Getting dirt inside your regulator is bad. It's not designed to have loose dirt on the inside. And every time you fill your tank, you're blasting whatever is in the fill nipple into the regulator. Say you take a nasty fall into a pile of crud or something.
I didn't say mud, I said crud.
You're going to blast all of that crud that was in the fill nipple into the regulator. And now it's possible that regulator's not working correctly, which could lead to letting more air out and causing problems with the gun. Maybe it's not holding air. Things just can go wrong. And there's a few different styles of these fill nipples. There are metal ones like the HK Army or CP. There's also rubber styles. This Exalt one, you can kind of stretch over your regulator and it kind of covers your fill nipple. And there's also these little 10 packs for $10 on Amazon that also work really well. Just get a fill nipple. They're really inexpensive. Yep, it's going to help you out. Microfibers are inexpensive and they make cleaning so much easier. Whether you're cleaning your mask off, you're cleaning your gun. My car seems to get shot in the parking lot a lot, so I use it to clean off my car. Using microfibers is just way easier. I mean, you could use your hand, but they just don't have the absorbent quality of a microfiber. You don't need anything special though. Any microfiber is going to work. I mean, just cheap microfibers are perfectly fine. Exalt and HK Army do make some though. They're made very, very well. They're really thick. They're probably going to last a long time. But still, the inexpensive like 50 pack on Amazon is still going to work much better than a lot of everything else. What's going to take it to the next level though is a spray bottle, and this is a new adoption to my gear bag. I really wasn't taking a spray bottle up until about a year ago, but it just makes it so much easier to clean stuff, right? I mean, all these masks have little crevices and little areas, and I can just spray it down with the spray bottle and it just cleans it better. It's a lot easier than like fishing around in there with the microfiber and trying to clean it out. So just buy one of these inexpensive spray bottles. I mean, you can just toss it in your bag. It's just water in there, right? You don't have to have any like bleach or like a lye or anything like that. It sounds to be crazy. Water in a spray bottle. So that's like stuff you need. Way more than 9 though. I don't know. I just kind of like the number 9, so we went with it and then figured it out. Leave a comment below.